Hi, Flatman here. So I just realized that I was talking for about 5 minutes and I forgot to put the big red button on the phone. So I don't know how to repeat everything I just said again. But I will try, okay? Simplicity of it is, as if you were, I'm going to talk to you as if I said a bunch of things and then you didn't hear. Which is always wonderful when you hear someone, but you're not like really listening. And then they like repeat everything again as if you're listening again. And you're like, oh, but I heard some of that. And you like try and cut them off. And they're like, no, but you didn't understand. You're like, there's a reason I wasn't listening. Anyways, you should listen when somebody's talking to you and acknowledge them. That's very nice and polite. So today we are doing a book review. Because as much as I used to be a big book guy, I'm less of one, but I still read, and now I'm getting more into audiobooks because I can kind of multitask. Like I can get almost 2 hours of a book in a day. Sorry, I got something in my nose. Not the same thing as reading, but if you listen to an unabridged book and you have nothing else to do, or you're like doing some manual labor or whatever, it's actually really nice because you can actually literally do something else. And don't get me wrong, I try and listen to podcasts and other things talking about what's going on in the world and whatnot. But sometimes I get like over inundated and I'm just like, oh my God, the sky is falling. I get it. Okay, I need a break. I need a break from what's going on in the world. Anyhow, so the book of today, the series of today, it's called the Lensman series. Highly suggest, in my opinion, it is kind of like the godfather of science fiction. A lot of people refer to the Dune series. By the way, this is the first book, Triplanetary. First book of the series. The series is this right here. First book, as you can see, it's not very big. This is my book that I got in a used bookstore. But anyways, on to the series. I feel like I should just like hold it up. By the way, you have to excuse the crappy hair. Anyways, on to the series. So the book was written in like the late 40s, 48. I don't actually know when Dune was written. I think a little bit later. And there's some other, like the Foundation series and the Dune series, a lot of people consider like perfect science fiction. And in many respects, they are. But in my opinion, the Lensman series talks about and brings about this whole other thing. And what's so amazing about it is the Lensman series is the equivalent of that soldier in your foxhole that's like an asshole and curses a lot and is just an all around like a troublemaker and a problem, and he has all these like things. But when it comes to the nitty gritty, when it comes to hopping out of the foxhole and getting stuff done, they're that person. When it comes to who's gonna hop out to grab the wounded soldier and bring him in, they're that one. When it comes to, oh, our senior officer is shot, who's gonna take command? They're that one. So whereas Dune and the Foundation series are really good for what they are, and they stick to their worlds and they're really good, I would actually argue the Foundation series copied some of the homework of the Lensman series. And the Dune series, not so much, because it is kind of its own thing, but in a weird way, it kind of did as well. And I'd have to look, but I'm fairly certain both of those series came closer to like the 60s, so they're after the Lensman. Which could actually make, if Dune and Foundation series are like the grandfather of science fiction, or the godfather, then the Lensman series, which again, this is the first book, Lensman series is like the great grandfather, the super godfather, if you will. Because there are things in there that are like misogynistic, and they kind of mention eugenics, but not really. There are some things where you're just like, why are there no main female characters? Like, why do you kind of like gloss over that? The writing structure is kind of weird because they're short books, as you can see. They're not very long. And the foreword on the first book, at least an Audible, which is what I am listening to it. Granted, I've read them several times. I'm listening to them. This is my second or third time listening to them. I consider them really good. But there are problems with it. So their dialogue is one problem. It's super dated, okay? People don't talk that way anymore. Haven't talked that way for a long time. Super dated, okay? I mean, haven't talked that way in 7 years. If they even talk that way, I don't know. And then there's like how women act. Well, they don't really act that way. And that's kind of a good thing. And then it's also kind of a bad thing. Like, there are some of the female characters, not many, that I'm like, I wish more women acted this way. Just saying. So, it's what the gem of it is. And it's not even like hidden in a bunch of stuff. It's just kind of like tucked under a little bit of sand. Like if you have some sand and here's this gem and it just like is kind of right here, right? So there's your gem. What's hidden underneath the sand is this push and this drive to, if you're a dude, push yourself beyond what you think you're capable of. Because in this world, our most smartest and wisest of people really barely hold a candle to some of these characters. And to me, I was thinking about it from the context of Star Wars and like how OMG, instead of Jedi Knights, we need to have kids wanting to be Lensmen, because understanding that value, and it's like anybody can be a Lensman other than Jedi, by the way. Fun fact, not everyone can be a Jedi. You need to have midi-chlorians and it has to be in your DNA and yada yada. This isn't your DNA. This is who you are ethically and morally. How smart are you? What is your will like? What is your intelligence, your drive to help other people? All these things make up that. And it's just amazing. And there is, throughout the entire series, there is this overarching thing of mankind, humankind, or more specifically civilization, needs to keep pushing to be better. And how that happens is they get this problem faced, like, oh, hey, there's this evil entity. Excuse me. This evil entity, we need to overcome that. Well, okay, so one could argue, and it does give me like Mission Impossible Fallout vibes, is, well, the greater the fall, then the greater the rise, right? Like if we wreck civilization so much, then it'll rise to the occasion. But unlike with that, where you have psychopaths doing that, instead, and in a weird way, one could make the argument that it's just like, for every resistance and problem that people, humankind, civilization runs into, they will overcome it. So the idea is have an outside source, keep giving them problems that they overcome until they get to the point where they don't have those problems and they transcend them. And right now, today, we are so not in that place. But it gives me hope. If more people read this, if more men read this and they're like, oh, wait, that's how I should be as a man? And maybe not all of it, but why don't you just pick and choose the good things? Like represent and be like, no, I want to be like this. And I want to like focus on my career and actually be the best that I can possibly be. And if you think you are the best, push yourself to be better. And as a woman, it's like, hey, have value in yourself. Take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, and be there. Be the queen for your king. These are things that are very kind of subplot things, but I think are important. And frankly, I can't help this. I'm like the fifth or sixth time going through these. I can't help thinking like, this would be the best series, the best thing ever if people could like not make it modern and make it like good modern. Like when you think of how Star Wars used to be, like the original Star Wars, or how the first season of Altered Carbon was, or I'm trying to think of sci-fi stuff, but non-sci-fi stuff would be like Last Samurai or Gladiator, where you're just like, this is an epic story that was like done in a way and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. This challenges people to, no matter how hard you think it is, blah blah blah, this gives people like, hey, there is more than just what's on this planet. There's more than what's just in this surrounding area in the galaxy, just in the Milky Way galaxy. It's just we're in the Milky Way. We haven't even explored any part of the Milky Way, let alone the other subsequent galaxies around. And these guys are like taking what would be the equivalent of a 2-hour drive, or like a drive across to New York, and they're doing that in a freaking spaceship. Anyways, so this is it. Again, Lensman series, amazing, amazing, amazing series. It has problems. If you swallow them, I think you'll enjoy it. The dialogue's a little weird. It's very freaking weird. It's very dated. And there's a couple other things that are dated about it, but I highly suggest it. That's my book review for today. Sorry about the bad hair. Sorry about the messy apartment. But this is it. Plaid Man out. Bye.